Welcome to the celebration of San Jacinto Day with the Wake to Truth Ministry. I'm Mary Starr, and this is my longtime friend, Lee Spencer White. She has been very busy and has had many accomplishments and awards. I'm going to let her tell us a little bit about that. She's a seventh generation Texan, most importantly. So, Lee, go ahead.
Well, I'm an author and a preservationist. I sat on many Texas historical boards across the state. I'm president of the Alamo Defender Descendants Association. We are the only proven bloodline of the Defenders. We have a ceremony at the Alamo every year on March 6th. I spend my time traveling around the country researching Alamo Defenders, finding new Defenders, and we have done that. So my job mainly is research, but I'm also very active in saving the cenotaph, the huge monument in front of the Alamo. So I do all things Texas, and happy San Jacinto Day today from the beautiful Blanco County Courthouse.
Yes, indeed it is. So it's just been amazing to watch your journey. I follow you and see what all you're doing. It's been a lot of fun. So I've known her for quite a long time. And so tell us, let's go ahead and hit on San Jacinto Day.
San Jacinto Day. Well, 188 years ago today, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there was a very decisive battle that changed not only Texas and Texas history, but the United States history. In 18 minutes, the battle lasted 18 minutes. And from that 18 minutes, where we won our independence, it was such a decisive battle that we won our independence. There was a treaty signed, and 10 years later, in 1846, there was a war with Mexico, really because of our border. And that's how we actually signed the Treaty of Hidalgo and paid Mexico $15 million to own all the way to California. So that's what, that 18 minutes made the United States of America from sea to shining sea.
That's impactful. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to record with you to celebrate and mark today. There's so much of our Texas history that is not being taught anymore, and I think that that is a disgrace to people like you who are seventh generation Texans, a disgrace to those who died at the Alamo, a disgrace to those who fought at San Jacinto, and it's just wrong. They celebrate a lot of other things and they sort of overlook this monumental day. So one of the things that we're going to put at the end of our video is link information to their website. They have a website that gives great information about all things Texas and San Jacinto.
Right.
And we need to celebrate that.
Right.
So
well, the Battle of San Jacinto was very fascinating because obviously after the Battle of the Alamo, the citizenry fled because the Mexican army is coming. That was news March 13th. Alamo fell the 6th. Goliad fell the 27th. Everyone was massacred there. The citizens are terrified. They know that Santa Anna had put down revolts at Zacatecas in Mexico and killed and raped. So they were terrified. So they're on the run. Sam Houston is trying to find a spot to fight, but he doesn't know because he's got citizen soldiers. It's like getting all of your neighbors together and let's fight a professional army.
right.
No, that's going to be difficult. So Houston was very worried about it. So we were headed towards Louisiana where it would be safe. Okay? So the citizen soldiers, though, were very irate and they wanted to fight. And because many of them had lost loved ones in the Alamo, loved ones in Goliad. Their wives have been 6 weeks in knee-deep mud. It is raining. The rivers are flooded. There's no food. Their children are sick because the water's contaminated. Everyone is upset. And when you look at one of the soldiers that fought at San Jacinto, it had been a month since he had bathed, shaved. He's long-haired, beard matted, tattered clothes, and covered in mud. Now, can you imagine how he feels when Sam Houston talks to the army before they attack? Sam Houston reminds them of their ones that they lost. Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad, remember your wife and your children over here. Because all the women and children are in wagons pointed towards Louisiana. They're waiting on this battle, what's going to happen. So by the time this Texan army lights into Santa Anna's army, Santa Anna is so full of himself, he doesn't think anyone's going to attack him, especially as a ragtag 900 people, okay, against his 1,500. So they take him by storm, and they are very blessed because the grass is really high because of all the rain. So they go undetected almost to the tents of the Mexicans.
Wow.
And they even are pushing along two brass cannons called the Twin Sisters, which were gifts from Ohio, and they were engaged in the battle. It was a very short battle, like I said, 18 minutes. There were 9 of us killed and 600 of them killed.
That was decisive.
Mm-hmm.
Things that people don't think about, not just Texans, but people across America, they do not get the fact that this was impactful not just for Texas, but for the United States of America. And you pointed that out very well at the very beginning of this. But I want to make sure people really get that.
That's true. This one little battle has changed American history, and actually history around the world. Because when we became a nation from sea to shining sea, that changed who we are as the United States of America.
Definitely did, for sure.
And the story of San Jacinto and the story of the Texas Revolution that I love so much is citizen soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
That you too can make a difference. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's some of them that I look around in a restaurant and not so sure that they'll pick up a rifle. But I would hope that spirit is still there.
I would hope so.
And but I can tell you that on a personal note that might be of interest to some of your listeners, it's not just a battle. These are actual people. And you have one, youngest one is 16 years old. He joined when he was 15, but during the battle, he had just turned 16. The oldest is 65.
Wow.
Does this tell you the range of citizens?
It does. It also speaks to their incredible level of commitment.
Absolutely. Well, the little boy, the 16-year-old, his mother cried and went to each soldier and said, "Please take care of my son, don't let anything happen to him." And the 65-year-old had lost his son-in-law at the Alamo. So as the battle's raging, these Texans, I told you what they look like. They look savage. And they have hate in their eyes. And they are angry. And they haven't eaten anything but wild onions and a few eggs they could get in the last 6 weeks. They are not in a jovial mood.
No.
And so as they run towards this Mexican army, screaming, "Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad." Washington was the guy, George Washington was the guy that died in the Alamo. His father-in-law, James Curtis, was screaming, "Remember Washington, you killed Washington, you killed." So as the Texans took them only 18 minutes to win the battle, but they were so enraged they wouldn't quit killing. And they continued until dark, which I looked on my phone, that's almost 8 o'clock. That's 4 hours. It was very savage, but that tells you what they felt.
Well, it was interesting. There's a great video on the website for the San Jacinto Museum and Monument. It was funny. He said, yeah, the reason they had to kill all those Mexican soldiers is because they don't have to guard dead soldiers. And
we had another 600 prisoners and 200 wounded, and the prisoners were all begging to be sent someplace to help. And so some, especially officers, you can teach your children how to read, and they were wanting to be worked rather than what might befall them.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, but before we end, I want to tell a story about strength and faith in God.
Thank you.
There was a very elderly man. He was 75 years old. His name was Judge Hodges. He was over from Fort Bend. And he had been in the Revolution, the American Revolution, in South Carolina, and he was under a man called Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, who fought obviously in the swamps and was great at surprises and really gave the British all kinds of hell. So anyway, he settles in Texas, Judge Hodges, and his granddaughter left a diary. And in it she says, Grandpa never really had much time for us, but during the runaway scrape, he took us little ones by the hand and he walked us at night and we camped during the day so the Mexican army wouldn't find us. And she says, none of us got sick because Grandpa learned from swamp fox to put vinegar in our drinking water so that killed the bacteria.
Smart.
And she says, we were camped and could hear the battle going on. And my grandfather was leaning against a tree with his head down praying. And she said I could just see his silhouette. He was always very comforting to us, but I could see him troubled over this and listening. And all of a sudden, a rider comes rushing through the brush and starts yelling, "We won, we won, we won." So that experience with Judge Hodges and the little grandkids was very moving. He didn't live but maybe 2 more months after that.
Wow.
But of course, I'm sure the cold, the mud, the worry, the stress didn't do him any good. But today he is buried in Hodges Bend Cemetery. So any of you want to pay him a visit, just remember he was a man of God.
That's the operative thing, and that's what America needs to remember. It's what it's all about, and that's what's going to save not only Texas, but our nation.
Well, it saved us once.
It did, and it will again.
And even though we're imperfect people, as long as we let God lead, we'll succeed.
That's right. Get out of the way and let him get it done.
That's right.
Lee, thank you. That was a great storytelling bit about Texas history. Hopefully a lot of our listeners will enjoy it and might even go see the San Jacinto Monument.
Go on out there. It's worth a visit. It's
It
near
is.
near modern-day LaPorte.
Yes, it is. Lee, why don't you tell us about your book? I've been dying to ask about that.
Well, my book is called Joe, the Slave Who Became an Alamo Legend. You can get it on Amazon.com. It won the Philosophical Society Award, the Indie Award, top Black history book on Amazon.com. So we've received lots of awards for this book. But it took over a decade of research. We're the only people that actually put together Travis's estate, which I went to all kinds of counties into other states as well. Tracking Joe, who was a slave of Travis, and this chronicles his history. His brother was William Wells Brown, the first black novelist. His grandfather, wait for it, Daniel Boone.
Love it.
And anyway, the foreword is written by Phil Collins, the singer. And we've got blurbs from Michael Blake, Dances with Wolves, all of the biggies like this book. So I hope you out there order this book. I think you'll love it. It gives you an oversight of the revolution through the eyes of a slave.
That is an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. So everyone, go get her book. It's going to bless you and teach you. So, well, thank you again. It's been great.
All right. Thank you.